creating a tool, Tykr, Tykr.com, that helps people manage their own investments.
Mikhail said he was like, damn good design, like looks pretty good,
About 80% of our audience, if not more, are complete beginners. We created a lot of features in Tykr that you can customize for yourself.
How much you spend money on ads to get people to come to your site?
We pay right now 30% reoccurring commission.
How did you go from that Excel spreadsheet that you are like, hey, this is pretty cool, and now having thousands of customers? Hi guys, welcome to another episode of our podcast. Me with Mikhail talking to awesome entrepreneurs from all over the world, showing their products, and us just asking questions that you probably would have asked yourself as well. Today we have Sean from Tykr. How do you pronounce it, Sean? Maybe we could start there, and welcome to the podcast.
Sure. Is it like a tiger? Like a Tykr?
Tykr, like a ticker symbol on
Like
stocks.
ticker, right?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tykr, Tykr.com was taken, so had to get creative.
Okay. Got it.
Well, it's not a surprise.
So, Sean, tell us a little bit about yourself and your company, and maybe
Sure.
at some point you could actually, share your screen and give us like the quick tour so that people can learn more
demo.
about your product.
Sure. So just high level, I've been a entrepreneur and an investor for about 16 years or so. Actually, working career about 20 years, but I've worked for some corporates, some large public companies along the way. Had an agency in the 2000s, went through a merger, but really the majority of my time has been spent on investing. And that really leads to, I could go into more detail if you guys want, but it really leads to creating a tool, Tykr, Tykr.com, that helps people manage their own investments. And what it does is it's a screener and educational platform. So it's really good for beginners. So many people around the globe are joining the stock markets, but they have no idea what's a good stock and what's a bad stock. And there's tons of brokers out there. We're not a broker. For example, here in the States, I use TD Ameritrade, but the popular ones are like Robinhood and E-Trade and Schwab and whatnot. But so it's really the tool you want to use in relation to your broker. So you use this first, understand, hey, what's a good stock? What's a bad stock? When should I buy? When should I sell? How do I allocate percentages to different stocks? And all kinds of fun stuff in between. But it's really broken down in simple terms, and it's a pretty fun tool to use. At least I think so. We've got about 7,000 customers in a little over 50 countries in our trust.
Oh, that's
That's
nice.
awesome.
Yes, we've been live about a little over 2.5 years. It'll be 3 years in July. But what's really cool is whenever I say anything about Tykr, I'll tell you guys right now, don't take my word for it. We always say go over to Trustpilot, go over to Google, because our score is actually a 4.9 out of 5.
Nice.
So we are
Yeah,
nice.
that's
highly
crazy.
rated.
Yeah, I went there and it looks amazing.
Yeah, before actually recording, we took a look at your website and explored a little bit.
Yeah.
And the first thing that Mikhail said, he was like, damn good design, like looks pretty good,
Thank you.
Yeah,
It looks
it
looks
looked really
credible,
professional,
looks
yeah.
like a bigger company and
Right.
so forth. And we were admiring the website, and I think how clear and just crisp it was. So good job on that for sure.
Thank you.
Exactly. Also, the dashboard is very good. So been
Nice.
playing
Yeah.
around with it not
So
the last half an hour. So it looks
So
looks
basically,
nice.
I guess your target audience are maybe beginners, but also people who are just want to automate and maybe improve their investment, process and screening process, right? So somebody who is looking for better tools, because there are many different ways to analyze stocks, right? Like there are tons of ways, right? I have a friend who developed his own like software just so that he can analyze crypto and try to predict the trends. And let me just say that he's not doing that anymore. So again, it's not an easy job, and there are no shortcuts. So can you tell a little bit like what problem you're really like solving and for who?
Yeah, so about 80% of our audience, if not more, are complete beginners. So they either hear like about stocks from a friend or from YouTube or TikTok, and the list goes on. And then, of course, their next step after that is they just go sign up for a free or low-cost broker. About 20% of our audience, they are more experienced. We do have a lot of people who work in corporate finance or wealth managers that use our tool as well. But where we see the most growth for the platform itself, it's a software as a service platform where we really see the scale is really helping those beginners out there, holding their hand along the way, helping them with all the little things, whether, like I said, buying and selling, allocating, how much of your paycheck should you be allocating to the stock market, stuff like that. We are there, and there's other good platforms out there. I always give great accolades to our competitors, like Simply Wall Street is based out of Australia. They're pretty good. Seeking Alpha is kind of more geared towards more advanced investors, but they've got a lot of good articles written. There's a few others out there, but those would be the top two players.
Awesome. So if you're targeting newbies, so to speak, right, then content marketing seems to be like the way to go, right? Like creating guides,
totally,
podcasts, all that good stuff.
Yeah, you nailed it. So we actually track where the majority of our customers come from. And number one is YouTube. So my goal is to dial up our YouTube content. I need to be that quote unquote finfluencer, I guess is what the kids are calling it. But I got to be all over.
Are they?
Yeah, right. Thank you. And then you get finfluencers out there that have no business or investing experience, but they've got like 100,000 followers. It's like, how does this make sense?
Yeah.
So it's mainly it's Google SEO, like search engine optimization. We're pretty good at article writing, stock reviews, but YouTube is big. Social media, we're starting to get better at, but we need to be. You're right. Content is key. We got to be all over the place with content marketing.
Finance is a very competitive area, like in search engine optimization wise. Well, of course, obviously in marketing wise as well. So, how did you manage to get through all the competition there and get in front of people in search engines and also how much you spend money on ads to get people to come to your site?
Well, how we grow, we actually haven't spent anything on ads. And this is based on my experience working for larger corporations.
So it's like only from social?
Actually, channel partners. So that would be, affiliates. So people join and they can have like a blog or YouTube channel. They'll promote Tykr we pay right now 30% reoccurring commission. So anybody out there that's so people love that because they can create a revenue stream with their blog or their YouTube channel. They would be called affiliates. Another level up from that is, this is my experience in large corporates, is channel partners is finding businesses that have a really sizable audience. And then they do the same thing. They'll promote us, take a cut of the revenue.
So basically, I guess people like publishers promote your content or your service and they get a piece of the pie, and it works really well in like crypto scene. At least I know have some experience in that area for sure. It's pretty popular. By the way, in your tool, can you only analyze stocks or can you analyze crypto? Obviously I know the answer to the question because we checked the website, but can you tell a little bit like what commodities do you support?
Yep. What I'd like to do is take a step back just to give people a little look under the hood. So what really separates us, and you guys may laugh at this, is originally when I built this thing in Excel, like back in 2016, and then it went live in like 2020, I started working on a provisional patent on the algorithm. And then I'm talking to one of my partners who's also an attorney and software engineer, shout out to Alger. And I was talking to him, I'm like, what if we remove the patent and make this thing open source? Nobody's doing that. So flip it on its head and just lean into the trust aspect. And that ended up being a big marketing place. So on Tykr.com, there's a little education tab. And if you just hit the drop down, there's the calculations drop down. You can actually see all the calculations in Tykr. And we always tell people, like, you can go create your own version of Tykr, but we still hope you stay with us. And so far, that's
you can do it,
but
please don't do it.
Exactly. But yeah, going back to, what the platform does is Phil Town was a big help with how to analyze stocks. We'll talk about crypto. We'll talk about what else we analyze here in a second. But I went down a YouTube rabbit hole years ago and read as many books as I can. And unfortunately, finance is overcomplicated. I feel like sometimes on purpose.
Oh, yeah, most likely.
Right, to keep people out of it. And Phil Town, he's got a few good books. One of them is Rule 1. Another one is called Payback Time. And then he wrote a third book with his daughter, Danielle, called Invested. And he provided some of the calculation in calculus equations. And I took those from the book, put it in Excel, and went from there. So with stocks, that's what we primarily focus on, is you have data. Like, fortunately, you and I, we can read the data, such as the financial statements. You've got the income statement, cash flow statement, and balance sheet. In simple terms, you can see the revenue, the sales, of course, your profit. You can see the debt. You can see the cash flow. All those things we can leverage to analyze stocks. And in a week here, this will be sometime middle to end of the May, we're launching ETFs, which are essentially bundles of stocks. So that'll be asset class 2. And we do have crypto in Tykr, but crypto coins don't have financial statements like a business. So you can't analyze where a coin is going. Now the question is, then why did we add crypto to Tykr? The reason is it's a big marketing play. We want people to see it, join Tykr, and realize, value investing is much safer, much more secure over your long term, whereas crypto is like, you can play with it, but we tell people go 5% or less of your net worth in crypto. So that's why crypto's in Tykr.
All right. Yeah, so basically you use it as a part of your sales funnel, and then you kind of direct people towards you don't do it intentionally, but people start exploring other commodities, stocks, whatever, and they start to kind of get into that. Yeah, I think crypto, now I guess we're in crypto winter, so it's maybe not, as lucrative as it was just maybe like a year or two ago. I think because you're not broker, right? Like you don't have any of the responsibilities. You don't have to worry.
You don't have to be the financial advisor.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's like what the finfluencers.
Yeah.
Always have to say that. Not a financial advice. Do your own research.
Yeah, and
exactly.
And it was really funny when you said that, you started with an Excel, and I think, many good business ideas actually start in Microsoft Excel and then turn into something different. How did you build your service? Do you have the technical skills yourself, or did you work with subcontractors? How did you go from that Excel spreadsheet that you are like, hey, this is pretty cool, and now having thousands of customers, which is awesome?
I've primarily been a project manager, essentially. So I with that agency, I was project managing all the projects, but then with big corporates, project management and managing multiple software projects at once. Sometimes the budgets of some of these projects could be between $200K and up to about $2 million. Largest projects is about $10 million, but I've done some complex software projects. So I knew this is just another Tuesday, as they'd say. Okay, we've got this Excel sheet, move everything over to Trello, break out the cards. And I've worked with teams from India, Bangladesh, France, of course, all over the US, developers and engineers. So I already have a network, and my first team I used before in other WordPress projects, and let's just say this, they were not qualified to build a SaaS. And I found that out about 6 months in. Yep. Had to fire them, and then I moved on to developer 2, and he was a step up, but he still wasn't there to create a world-class SaaS platform.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he was able to help get an MVP out there, which I will say was really ugly, but I'm like, I don't care. I just want to get it out there, get people using it, get feedback. And then it was about a year and actually less than a year, I met my partner, Elgar, and he came at me with a bunch of ideas. It was actually a customer first. He's like, oh, we could do this with your platform. We could do this and this. And I'm like, that's when I talked to him, and I'm like, man, I need help here. I need a world-class SaaS. So I brought him. So that really brought it to the version you see today. I have to give all the credit to my team because they handled the UI, UX, the programming, the tech stack, so you guys know. If you're more technical, it's the same as PayPal and Facebook, just Node.js, MongoDB backend.
Yeah, sounds pretty standard, but like in a good way. You don't want to use some weird exotic technology because it'll be very hard to hire people and so forth. So I think you've done a really good job when it comes to just user experience. I think it's very fresh, very simple, very, very light. There is not too much information. Your onboarding process, I think, is very good. It's very, very clear. It's like just a few questions and hey, let's get started. I was just wondering, since, and this is maybe, besides the point, but I do some investing myself, and I kind of always thought that ETFs are the way to go for a lazy investor like me, right? Everybody talks about ETF, how can I say, what's the point of, picking stocks separately if you can just buy baskets? Why would you do that? What's the benefit?
All right, I love this. So we've just launched our first course that goes into this a little bit, but you've really got when it comes to stocks, there's really 4 categories, and we'll kind of break them up into 2. So here we go. You've got ETFs, index funds, and mutual funds, which are all bundled products. They can have hundreds or 1,000 stocks in one, and then you have stocks in another category. Now, based on your strategy, we talk about this in the course as well. There's 4 pillars based different strategy. I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers out here, but I'll make this simple. So you've got people who want to remove debt would be pillar 1. Pillar 2 would be increasing income, which is about revise your resume, increase your salary, or create a side hustle. So that's 2. Pillar 3 would be building your wealth, and pillar 4 would be protecting your wealth. ETFs and index funds and mutual funds are good for that 4th pillar. If you are, and I can't stress this enough, if you have already achieved financial independence, if you have already retired, maybe you sold a business, maybe you sold real estate, and you want to protect your wealth, that's when you go into ETFs. But if you're like most people around the world and get this, we get a lot of customers that say this, they feel like they're behind the 8 ball. They feel like based on their age, they should have more in savings, more in investments, and they're going into ETFs. I use this analogy. It's like, let's say you're showing up at the Indy 500 with a 1995 Dodge Neon that goes 95 miles an hour, or you can show up with an Indy car that goes 230. It's way too slow to build wealth. ETFs, again, are not for building wealth, they're for protecting. So if you are in a position where you want to build your wealth, guess what? Warren Buffett style, value investing, individual stocks is the way to go. You want to be in an Indy car, not this piece of junk 95 that's rusted up and goes 95 miles an hour. Rude. I know it's a kind of a crude analogy, but it's the best way.
No, it is I think it's very good. I think it's very good. So basically, if you just want to, maybe get 6%, right? That's it. That you get, every year, and you spend that, and you just want to have this eternal kind of money-making machine, and you invested maybe a few million, and you're chilling. Then maybe index funds, right? They provide less risk. Yeah, it kind of makes sense. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. So basically, it's just the speed. If you want to accumulate wealth and you want to kind of move faster and you don't have so much time, then picking stocks makes a lot more sense. So if I already do some investment through my broker, how can I it seems to be very tedious to just import by hand everything, just one by one. Is there some magic button that I could just import CSV file or something, so that if I have maybe 30, 50 different stocks that I own, how would that work?
So right now we have a portfolio tracker in Tykr, so you can track your portfolio, which has been manual. But in the next week, along with ETFs, we are launching a CSV import. And you can do that as simple as this. You can export the data, right, from your broker, import into Tykr. You can do that with your portfolio as well as watch list, if that's something you're creating as well. We have, just you guys are going down this road here, we have explored the idea of connecting to your brokers. And there's 2 platforms out there that unfortunately are quite clunky still, but you have Plaid and you have SnapTrade. And some brokers it works, some it doesn't. It's just not the best user experience. So we're really going to see how the CSV import works for our customers and kind of take it from there.
I can maybe throw an idea at you, right? So in my company, we have released a few Chrome extensions some successful, some not so much. And I think there is a huge opportunity because Chrome extension exposes the page to your software, basically, which is JavaScript. So you could actually create an extension, right? Like Tykr extension that once I install it, it will create additional information on my broker's page so that you don't have to have any kind of integration with them. You don't have to ask permission.
Yeah.
You just create an extension and there you go. You're in.
I love that. We were actually talking about going in the other direction, like you were going on other sites. But yes, if you're logged into your broker, let's say in a web browser, it would display the essential data. Like let's say you're looking at Apple on your broker, it would show the Tykr right there within your Chrome. Hey man, that's a great idea.
Yeah. And I think if you think from the customer acquisition perspective, if you created this free extension and then you gave a little bit of information for free to everybody who uses Chrome extension, you could use it as a sales funnel, right? Like for your paid account and so forth. Like, hey, this is just a taste of what we can do analysis wise and so forth. How about you get a free trial and see, additional features?
Nailed it.
I just think it kind of makes sense for you because, some extensions in Google Chrome have millions of users.
Yes, exactly. No, that's really a good idea. And we're already looking into ways on how to use ChatGPT.
Oh, yeah.
And doing something with that. Just what we're trying to do is how do we leverage ChatGPT to remove pain from our customers, like make things more automated. So that's a whole nother conversation. If you want to go there, we can, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, but just maybe, and I'm sorry, Mikael, just jump right in if you have a question. I was just...
No worries. I'm enjoying the
awesome.
conversation, so go ahead.
I'm just wondering, like everybody is, well, not everybody, but a lot of people are like, oh my God, my copywriter, for example, she says like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my job because ChatGPT, can do everything I can do and, it can do better maybe or cheaper. And I'm like, don't worry, you're safe. But a lot of people also are saying that, like financial advice and stock analysis and all of that can be done by ChatGPT, right? If you just prompt it correctly, give the data, so aren't you, well, I wouldn't say afraid, but I'm sure you're aware of like many companies currently sitting at home or somewhere playing with Excel and they're thinking, hey, I can do this connected with ChatGPT and I have a SaaS product I can sell for $50 or something. So like, what do you think about, ChatGPT kind of like taking your piece of a pie, so to speak, like analysis?
Not concerned at all, and I'll give context on that. So the algorithm we wrote, which again is open source, ChatGPT won't be able to duplicate. It is very in-depth. I would say good luck trying to duplicate that. A human would have to go through, re-engineer it, take the calculus from our sites and put it to work, and it'll take you probably 2 years to get there. But with financial advice, there's a lot, like ChatGPT, as we know, it's not, as we've seen, it doesn't always spit back information that's correct.
Is it?
So you mentioned a key word there, prompting. And what we've done is we've kind of, because we're really engaged with our customers, we do a lot of surveys, and we have a tool called Looped In that allows people to vote for futures they want. And just being so close to our customers, we understand the pain. So here's one feature we're working on. So with investing, we teach people about the 4 M's. So I'll quickly cover this, but the first M is the margin of safety. That kind of represents all the math part of investing. And that's what Tykr does for us automatically. You log in, you see if a stock is on sale, watch or overpriced. On sale is good, overpriced is bad. Essentially a red light, green light situation. But then you need to look past the numbers. This is where most people who are investing in stocks and most analysts out there professionally, they miss the mark on this part. You have to look past the numbers and you got to look at the business. And the business would be the meaning, moat, and management. The meaning is like the business model. How many revenue streams does it have? Are these scalable revenue streams? And you get the moat, which is the competitive advantage. And then you have the management is the track record of the CEO. So we started doing some tests because we have a 4M checklist on our stocks that people kind of have to go through manually. And I started talking to customers like, what if this was done for you automatically? And they're like, take my money. And so we started doing tests on can ChatGPT figure out how many revenue streams and how scalable revenue streams are? And the answer is yes. So that box we can check. The competition, it can check that box. And then the experience of the CEO, it can check that box. So in summary, we're going to be able to do that for our customers so they don't have to go through that whole process. So you got to like take it from the high level of like financial advice, and let's go into the weeds of where customers need help most and use ChatGPT for those applications specifically. That's what we're doing.
So basically, let's imagine, like you have quarterly results, for example, like PDFs that are just like long as they can be, tedious, a lot of lingo, jargon, and you're like, holy moly, yeah. And basically, that's where ChatGPT shines for you, right? Because you can actually feed that data to ChatGPT, and you can say like, hey, like answer a simple question. Does it look like they're having cash flow problems or something like that? And then ChatGPT can say like, well, based on this and this is the analysis. I think that's pretty smart. So basically you're augmenting your service, and you are basically saving more time for your customers, and they will probably be willing to pay a little bit more for that service. I think that will be due to the nature of working with ChatGPT, paying for API. That will probably not be part of the subscription, or...
We actually, because we're having that discussion about how do we make this obtainable for our customers, and we actually will include it into our subscription plan. We made this really simple. Since we're B2C, we were once one of these B2C platforms that had different tiers, kind of like Netflix, which can work, but Headspace has one plan, either monthly or yearly. So we went that direction to remove with B2Cs, you guys probably know this a little bit, you want to remove decision fatigue and give people one plan. So for us, it's $99 a year, US dollars. Depending on your country, we use Paddle for payments behind the scenes. So based on your country, we do a currency conversion, and then we use what's called the Netflix index. So like somebody from India is not going to pay an equivalent of 99. It's going to be more like equivalent to like, $50 or something. Yeah, I think you know where I'm going. So that way people can get in. But yeah, we're looking at the optimization of how to use ChatGPT 3.5 and 4. What are the costs against us based on volume? And can we still charge $99 a year? Or we charge $29 a month, but we have such a steep discount with the yearly. Most people just go with the $99 a year.
Yeah, I think it's the price is reasonable.
Like, very much so.
And also, yeah, absolutely. This is the trend that companies has been going for a while. They just been removing these different kind of tiers and just take one.
Yeah.
And it's very smart move.
Thank you.
Yeah, very smart.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons why I really love doing podcasts, is because you learn so much, right? When you talk to so many different people from different backgrounds, you learn a lot. So now I kind of feel more motivated to look at my portfolio and actually do something. So Sean, thank you for that. Definitely. So, because you don't provide any financial services, you can operate in any country. You're probably multilingual when it comes to like your interface, or are you just supporting English language?
We're just US, although that is an item on our roadmap tool, so people can upvote it. And we are getting some upvotes, but it hasn't been as high as some of the other features. So we may do that at some point.
Okay, awesome. Where are you incorporated? Because I think I've seen Holland somewhere.
Yeah. Yes. So my business partner, Elgar, he's BB. Yes, we are headquartered in the Netherlands. I'm based in the States, but I'm actually the only team member based in the States. Everybody else is around the globe. So we're totally leaning into this remote work culture thing.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah. But here's 2 reasons why we went to the Netherlands. This is good for your listeners to know too. So Netflix and Nike are actually headquartered there as well. One big reason is when you have an entity in the EU and you sell to customers in the States and as well as other countries, you're not paying sales tax.
Yeah.
So, which is great because 40% of our customers are in the US. So everybody coming there with no sales tax. So that's 1. And 2 is, you hit it on the head. We're not a financial advisor. We're not a broker. We don't have a legality, like red tape we have to go through. But what we do need to abide by is stay as a publisher designation, which means we can be factual. We can show data. Well, we can't say, hey, Artem, you need to buy Microsoft.
Buy this one.
Exactly. We cannot use language like that. And we can't like do surveys asking you your age and what your goals are. And so we got to state as publisher. So that's why we fall into this category of publisher. Now, with that in mind, if anybody in the world wanted to contest that, knowing that Elgar, he's a very experienced attorney. I mean, he's worked for Ernst & Young, a subsidiary. Being a legal entity in the Netherlands, it's hard to go to court. Like it's very, and win. So so somebody from like Canada said, you told us to buy PayPal and now PayPal's crashing. We're going to take you to court. I wish you luck on that journey. It's going to be difficult.
Yeah. I'm based in Estonia right now, but I'm from Finland, and also Artemis now living in Finland. So that is basically the thing with all the European countries, that here we don't have this, we're not customary to sue people and sue companies that much. So yeah,
that's good.
And also Netherlands, I think it's pretty good for tax wise.
Yeah, well, that was if I'm completely honest, I was like, dude is just optimizing taxes.
That's corporate tax is lower than the States as well, but that sales tax element, that's key, because in some states in the U.S., it's like you get a U.S. company and you sell to some states like California, you're paying like 10 or 12% tax on every. It's true. Like, oh my gosh, you're just bleeding taxes.
Yeah, but maybe I meant more like corporate tax. Like maybe that's what I meant. I think that maybe it's better. I think in Netherlands, I think if it's very like small.
16.
Yeah, it's small percentage, right, compared to some of the other countries and U.S. especially.
It's 16. Yep, I think it's 16 or 18 compared to U.S. is 21. So that there's a little bit of savings there. What we do is we structure our model as we have a holding company, a BV, and that actually pays the partners. We have our own entities as well. So our team, I've got 2 partners in the Netherlands. It pays their BVs, so it's the large, like umbrella pays their BVs, and then I've got an LLC here in the States. And from a tax efficiency perspective, that's the best way to go. And then we can just pay ourselves from our own entities.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and you don't have liabilities, right? Like you don't have to, you don't have liabilities that come with officially like employing people, right? Like all that good stuff.
They would. Yeah, we were just paying contractors today from that umbrella BV, but at some point we'll have to cross that bridge and convert people from contractors to employees. How do we do that? There's bigger problems we can tackle.
Yeah, of course. I mean, tax optimization, just in general, is a positive problem to have, right? Like you usually start thinking about it once you reach, like a few mil a year, and you are looking just at the cost that taxation brings you, and then you just look at how you can optimize it and so forth. But awesome. That's awesome. But like, how quickly are you growing, guys? Like in terms of growth, of course you don't have to share information you're not comfortable with, but like, are you like on a path to reach maybe a few thousand more users this year, or like what's your growth rate?
Full transparency here. So we got the 7,000 customers through 2 channel partners. One is AppSumo, the other one is Stack Social. Now, with that in mind, they are focused on lifetime deals.
Yes, that is true.
Yes. So that's not really a sustainable model. So we've kind of hit this point where, and I highly recommend this book. If you guys haven't read it, it's called T2D3. It's written by a guy by the name of Stein. He's based out of the Netherlands, but it teaches you, or it's got like 70 case studies on building SaaS, primarily B2B, but you can apply the same principles to B2C. And they talk about the benchmark you want to aim for is about 5.75% churn, monthly churn or less, equates to product market fit. And we are just hitting that point. So we're getting these natural reoccurring subscribers. They're joining and they're staying. We had an issue for a while where people would join and then leave. Number one reason, we didn't have enough features and other bells and whistles they're looking for. But anyway, it's cool. So people are now staying. So our trajectory now is we want to go through, this is really ambitious, but I guess you got to go there. But we're going to go from 7,000 up to 50,000 subscribers this year. And the big driver behind that will be the iOS and Android app. And then over the next 5 years, we know we're pretty confident we can get to 1 million users.
That's pretty nice. I mean, that's optimistic, obviously, but you have to be, right? And as an entrepreneur, you can't.
That's not.
Yeah,
it's not impossible.
no,
either,
of course.
Right.
I'm a firm believer in you have to set your goals really high, and I think it's absolutely possible with a good growth strategy. And if you have the capital, and now talking about capital, do you like bootstrap yourself, or did you get a like VC, or like what was it in terms of financing your idea?
We're 100% bootstrapped. The MVP I spent with my own money. I've aside from corporate jobs, I've had like side consulting businesses where businesses come to me and ask for advice, how to build, and I'd use the revenue and I'd pour it right back into Tykr. And it took about 30 grand to get the MVP built. And then we've been sustaining cash flow enough. And my partners and I, we kept our full-time jobs. I actually just went full-time with Tykr a week ago, but I side hustled.
Congrats.
Oh, all right. Congrats, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome to the dark side.
I side hustled for 3.5 years, essentially.
Wow.
I just kept the full-time job and did not take one penny out of the business to pay myself.
And that's the thing, that's how people usually should do. Most of the times I think they just, jump straight into it, as at least here in this part of the world. And then they start, struggle a lot because most of the times, the stuff that you have, the MVP, that's not going to bring enough money or at least, even bring any money in it. And then you're going to be in big trouble.
Exactly.
If you can just do it, you do your full-time job and then you do that as a side hustle first, that's really the way to go. And that's how you build stuff that you don't have to give too much equity to early stage investors and then get screwed over.
And I think if you're ambitious about your growth, you might bring at some point, if you want to, an investor, but it will be a totally different discussion now that you have a product, you have traction, you have growth. You'll be able to negotiate such a good deal compared to what it would be if you just had a PowerPoint and lots of good ideas.
Nailed it.
And to be honest, lately I've been kind of a big fan of like slow startups, and like startups that take their time. They just really passionate about what they do, and it's kind of like a side hustle. And at some point, you reach a point where you can sustainably start drawing salary from the company, and you kind of switch. And I think there are many, like if you read Indie Hackers or some other blogs where smaller entrepreneurs talk, I think it's pretty popular. It's just not as sexy maybe as like, hey, we got 10 million in VC funding, we're gonna change the world, another unicorn coming, and so forth. It's not so fun to hear about somebody making $2,000 a month and then at some point they're making $12,000 and they started to work full time. It's not a clickbaiting article.
It's not.
Okay, awesome. So we have been talking for quite some time. How about you show us your product?
Well, I'll just give you a high level of some of the main screens. So we're a web app right now, but as mentioned, we're working on the iOS and Android apps as we speak, hopefully going live here in July, August, somewhere in there. But with the web app, just to kind of go through some of the screens, you've got this first screen, which is a dashboard. We created a lot of features in Tykr that you can customize for yourself. For example, you can add widgets for, like I've got here, as you can see, top gainers in the last 24 hours, top losers, the summary change I mentioned, anything that's on sale, watch overpriced. It shows the changes between, for example, if a stock goes from overpriced to green or otherwise on sale, that's a good sign. And you're going to see that happen with stocks you may not be familiar with. You can add stocks to this, like I've got PayPal, I've got Microsoft, Apple, but then you can add your widgets down here. You can rearrange your order, whatever order you like. And then it saves automatically. So that's your dashboard. Then the heart of the tool is the stocks page. It's kind of like an Excel sheet on steroids, where if you go to the bottom, you can see we've got about 30,000 stocks today. But again, to the customization, you can create your own filters and save those filters. Like Here's an example. I've got hidden gems. It shows you what the filters are, like on sale stocks, US based, USD currency, market cap. We don't have the commas in here, but it's like between, I think, 5 billion and 15. And the number you can see down here, it's like 556 stocks. So these could be some real winners in the future. Then you can rearrange your column order. You can turn on and off columns, whatever you like. But let's just click on a stock here. I'll go to what a familiar stock. Let's go to Apple. You can see our scoring system, 0 to 100. The higher the score, the safer the investment. And then you have the margin of safety, which is we calculate the fair value, which is also known as a sticker price. We use, for context in our calculations, talk about this. We use the EPS growth rate to show what this number is. This 398 on Apple, this is the share price in 10 years. But I think we can all agree Apple will most likely hit that in much less than 10 years. So it's very conservative.
Yeah, most likely,
yeah. So far, Apple's looking really solid. The charts here, you can flip between your years or durations. You can see the transition points. When a stock flips from like, over price to watch, that's usually a good time to get in. And then there's a lot of cool data. Like we've got, you can look at news. We're adding a dividend calendar here very soon. People are excited about that. Analyst ratings we're adding in the next few weeks, so you can see what other news sources and their analysts are saying about stocks. So it's all kind of funneled into Tykr. But we try to make things more visual, so it's less like, I like Market Watch because they have a lot of cool data, but everything's like written data instead of charts. Just makes it easier to see things here. Earnings calendar is fun. If you see a lot of green, we try to use a lot of colors, graphs to give confidence. Like you can see here, look at the trends. Apple's been exceeding earnings, expectations like quarter over quarter. It's incredible. Some people like ratios. You can see, again, some color coordination within. The system, as you know, we've got our own point system and the margin of safety, so you can see how does this stock compare to the industry, the sector, and the market. In this case, it's beating all three. This is kind of cool. People love ESG, so they can go here, see what the scores are there. Alpha chart compares how does this stock, how's it performed against S&P 500. This is just another confidence booster. So over the last 5 years, it's like, destroyed the S&P. It's just been a solid winner. And you can see other stocks. Let's keep going. You can actually see my portfolio. So if people want to know like what I'm investing in, what the percentage of allocation is, you can actually see all that. I just try to be transparent with people. We got our crypto. Of course, you can't analyze. There's no scoring system, but you can see some data with crypto. Then you can add, this has been fun, you can add different alerts. For crypto, because we're adding ETFs here soon, so you can add alerts on ETFs as well. But I like to keep track of Bitcoin, see where it's at. But this has been a big winner as well. Portfolio tracker I mentioned. You can add whatever stocks there, multi-currency. You can add watch lists. Now this is cool. You guys appreciate this. So when you add stocks to your watch list, when those stocks change between on sale, watch, and overpriced, you get notifications automatically. So it's kind of like the set it and forget it feature. So I love this. I can go on vacation and I know Tykr is going to let me know if like one of my stocks that I'm holding in my portfolio, if it changes from, let's say, on sale to watch or price, then I can do some investigation, maybe sell it, something like that. Yeah, I think that's it. Going back to our customizing, if you go to the notifications and settings, you can set like your default durations on charts, what stock exchange and country you want to see by default. I have it wide open right now, but knowing you guys are based in Finland and Estonia, you could set that up right here. Yeah, so again, we're all about making it your platform. You can customize it to your specifications.
This looks very good.
While we were talking, I purchased the lifetime deal already. So happy
Nice.
to support you, Sean. I think it's a really good deal. It's like, what is it, like $119 on AppSumo, right? Currently, at least that's what I saw.
Correct. I'd say get in early, grab them, because once the iOS and Android apps go live and we start really seeing our subscribers count increase, guess what? We're going to turn off AppSumo. So
of course. I
it's
think
deal when you
financially it
can.
doesn't make
Makes sense.
a lot of sense. It's maybe more of a marketing channel, right? Because they take a huge chunk of the money that you get, and also it's a lifetime deal. So yeah, it's kind of like, well, it's not easy, but it's good for market validation and to get those initial users, get that feedback. I think it's very smart.
Yeah, thank you. Those lifetime platforms, they have their purpose. They're good for getting people in and getting feedback really fast, because that's what you want if you want to get to product market fit as quickly as possible. But you guys just hit it on the head. It's not a sustainable revenue stream. You want to turn it off at some point. So we're nearing that point.
That's awesome. Well, this has been really great. Mikhail, do you have any other questions you want to ask?
No, it was very good. Thank you for coming, Sean. You have a good thing going on, and it seems that this podcast is gonna become very expensive for us because, well, Artemis been buying all of the stuff with all the episodes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I get excited. And especially when I see good people who are passionate about what they do. I'm like, I want to just, my small, tiny way to support, the company, the person, because I think you're doing good work, and I think the product looks really solid. So I have no doubt that, maybe, in a year or two, you will hit your mark and exceed it, just like Apple did, as you showed. maybe not to that extent, but the trajectory will be the same one. Sean, thank you so much for doing this podcast. It's been a pleasure. It's been really, really interesting, and thank you again for kind of getting me excited about investing, because it's been pretty. I've been pretty lazy, to be honest, and now I'm like, hey, I have this shiny new tool. I can get back in.
Yeah, you can't
yeah,
fail.
well, yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
Well, yeah, yeah. And basically, if people want to check it out, it's tykr.com. Of course, we'll have it in the show notes, description, all that good stuff. And Sean, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show, guys. Great questions.